Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the channel, and today we had the news that Jumbo Visma, they have actually extended their contract with their new superstar Jonas Vingegaard, the Dane who performed exceptionally well at this year's Tour de France. So a 3-year contract in cycling, that is very rare to say the least. But why have Jumbo Visma committed so much to the 24-year-old Dane? Of course, that is because of his amazing performances, not only this season as well, he also performed very well in the 2019 season and 2020. Of course, in 2019, in his Neo-Pro season, that's where Jonas Vingegaard actually just exploded onto the scene with his victory on the penultimate stage in the Tour of Poland, and thereby he also overtook the leader's jersey. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep that all the way to the finish, but that win really put him on the map. And then of course he also finished second in his home tour, the Tour of Denmark, which was also a really good result. Second place for a mountain rider in a very flat tour race such as the Tour of Denmark. There are not a lot of mountains, in fact there are 0. But anyways, then in 2020, in that very peculiar year that we had, Jonas Vingegaard got to go to his first ever Grand Tour, and this was of course the Vuelta a España. And here again, in his first ever Grand Tour, he really did show what he was worth on the Anglo stage. He really did show that he was a strong mountain climber by being one of the last riders for Primož Roglič to lead that elite field of the elite supreme climbers in that year's edition. And that really started to showcase how strong of a rider Jonas Vingegaard is and was. So rolling into the 2021 season, all the races seem to be in the correct format, and here Jonas Vingegaard did exceptionally well in the UAE Tour on Jebel Hayith. He took the win from a startled front favorites group almost. They all were looking at each other and he just managed to escape away from them and take the win there, and that was a really good result for the Dane. Nevertheless, it didn't take long before he took more success, and he, of course, in the interview I did with him, he spoke about in the Tour of Poland he wasn't quite ready for the pressures of having a leader's jersey, but that was well and truly not the case in the Coppi Bartoli stage race, where he absolutely bossed the race and took the victory ahead of fellow Dane Mikkel Honoré. And then we came to potentially his strongest performance before the Tour de France, and that was of course in the Tour of the Basque Country, and here we saw him well and truly marking Tadej Pogačar on the final stage and also being up there on the first time trial, and yeah, managed to claim second overall in GC along with the mountains jersey as well, of course. And then we came to the Tour de France, and of course all eyes were on Primož Roglič and that phenomenal Jumbo Visma team, but it wasn't quite Primož Roglic's year, if you will. Okay, he made up with it with that Olympic gold medal in the time trial later on, but in the Tour de France, the crashes and bad luck of course meant that Primož Roglič was suddenly no longer there. He wasn't the leader, he wasn't in the GC, and it fell on Jonas Vingegaard to pick up the reins, and pick up the reins he definitely did, being the only rider really able to match the ever-present Tadej Pogačar, and he even managed to distance him on Mont Ventoux, which was quite a feat in itself. But yeah, in the third week he absolutely matched Tadej Pogačar, almost pedal stroke for pedal stroke, and in the end finishing on the podium, second place, the first Dane to finish on a Tour de France podium since Bjarne Riis in 1996, and in his first Tour de France as well, incidentally. So an absolutely incredible result from the Dane, and yeah, that is basically why Jumbo Visma have gone out to re-sign him, if you will, prolong his contract for 3 more seasons. And of course that is very rare in cycling, having such a long contract. Usually contracts are 1 year or 2 years. It's not like other sports such as football or whatever. We've seen Juan Ayuso, of course, being signed on a 6-year deal, and Remco Evenepoel as well. And of course this is very unusual to say the least, but nevertheless, 24 years old, 3-year contract. And what does this actually mean for the future? Of course, Primož Roglič, he is coming towards the twilight of his career. Of course, he's very much in his prime right now, but you would have thought in about 3 years time, potentially the Slovenian superstar will be in a somewhat decline and potentially have won the Tour de France by then. So Jonas Vingegaard, could he be the next heir to Primož Roglič? And he definitely would have an incredible team at his disposal if that were the case. So yeah, Jonas Vingegaard, as he's shown, he's good on the hills, he's good on the mountains, He's good in the time trial. He's a very complete GC rider already, only really having competed in one Grand Tour. Of course, when he was in the Vuelta a España, he was working in the services of Primož Roglič. So yeah, the future here for the 24-year-old is going to be very bright, and we might see him and Tadej Pogačar being battling it out for years to come.
Are any of the riders the kind of rider you want to become, like Tom Dumoulin, or a more punchy rider?
Yeah, I think maybe like Primož, because he's also a bit punchy, but he's also good at time trialing and also in the mountains. So he's basically good at everything. And that's actually also something I'm trying to do at the moment. So I'm trying to, I know I'm also quite punchy as a climber. So yeah, it's definitely something I still want to work on, and also the time trialing and also just going on a long climb. I also want to be So basically it's like three things. So it's like the endurance on the long climbs, and also the punchy things, but also time trials. I want to be good at.
But equally, this extension for Jonas Vingegaard could also mean that Jonas Vingegaard might be targeting the Giro d'Italia and Vuelta a España in the next couple of years, even next season, if you will, as then you'll have Primož Roglič going for the Tour de France, and potentially Jonas Vingegaard going for the Giro, and then helping Primož Roglič at the Tour de France to try and get the Slovenian this Tour de France title, and of course Jumbo Visma's first Tour de France title as a team. But equally, Jonas Vingegaard is also going to be very eager to start the 2022 Tour de France, as it does start in Denmark, and of course he is a proud Dane.
Are you thinking about the Tour de France Grand Depart next year in Copenhagen?
Yeah, I hope I can be at the start in Tour de France next year. We will see. It's it's the toughest race of the world. So and I would say also in this team, maybe it's hard to get a place on the Tour de France team. But I will go for it, and that's definitely one of my goals.
Yeah, it would be good to see him competing for the Tour there, but equally he could become the first ever Dane to win the Giro d'Italia or even Vuelta. So anyways, that's it for this video. Make sure to let me know down in the comments what you think of this 3-year contract, and also how excited you are about Jonas Vingegaard potentially being the leader of Jumbo Visma in the years to come. Thank you for watching, and of course, have a nice day.